Well, welcome, and thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. And let's just get straight into some breath awareness. I think some other friends will join us as they come through. Hey, Jen. But we'll start just by paying attention to the breath. So, hey, Rach. My friend Tony, I hope you catch this, Tony, messaged me ages ago and asked me to record a nice long breath meditation. So I thought tonight's the night. So you might want to close your eyes. If you prefer, you can keep them open. And just start by shifting attention from that stream of thinking that's been going all day, ever since you woke up. Just take your attention away from there. And just place it on the breath. So notice what it feels like to breathe in. And notice what it feels like to breathe out. So we're moving out of the world that is created through thinking, through storytelling, through words, and into the presence that's here in the body right now. Feel your lungs expanding, contracting. Feel the movement of your chest, your shoulders. And just allow your body to relax. With each out breath. So every time you breathe out, just let your shoulders relax. Just relax into this moment, this instant. Feel the sensation as the air comes in through your nose or mouth, and as it goes out once more. And whenever thinking wants to grab your attention and pull you back in, and as soon as you find yourself lost in that world, just move yourself straight back. Move your attention straight back to this breath. To the physical sensations of this breath. Forget about what happened on the last breath. And don't anticipate what might happen on the next breath. Just experience this one, this breath, right now. And just allow that breath awareness to take your attention into the body. And see if you can anchor your awareness there inside. As the breath comes into that space and then leaves it once more. Just sense that empty space inside that makes room for the breath, seems to expand, and that allows it to leave once again. Always this breath. Always this instant. Past and future. It's no more than a graveyard for this vitality, this aliveness that you are. And notice as you breathe in and as you breathe out, notice how past and future have no reality except as thought. It's the only existence they have. And notice how even this breath is coming and going within you, within the space that we call the present moment. This breath arises and then it disappears, all within this space that you are. It's all happening in you. And now's your chance to notice that. Don't think about it. Just observe. Just watch what happens. So feel the breath come in. Notice the space that arises, the gap in between in-breath and out-breath. Feel the breath leaving the body. And then notice the stillness that's there once more after the out-breath, before the next in-breath. Keep attention on the breath. And also stay alert in those spaces in between breaths. Just allow yourself to be still, to just stop and experience that gap. Keep using awareness of breath as an anchor. To keep your attention focused on what is, on what's real, not on what's imagined in the mind. And just let these words pass through you in the same way that the breath does. You don't need to do anything with them, try and make sense of them, understand them. You don't have to try and do anything. Just let them come and let them go. You don't have to try to extract the oxygen from the air, push it into your bloodstream, or pump it around your body. It just happens. And these words are the same. Do their work much more effectively if you just let them come through and don't make anything of them. Always following this breath, just this one. Experiencing it through the body, not through the mind. And notice as you breathe how all the problems that seem to exist come to you as thoughts, as projections, as memories. That's the nature of problems. Notice how, in this instant, with this breath, everything's fine. Everything is as it should be. Everything's as it is. And there's nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to become. And in fact, if we take that a step further, there's no one who's aware of breath. Your whole identity arises as a bundle of thoughts. It's all in your mind, in your head. When you just follow the breath and close your eyes, well then who are you? What can we even say from that position? There's just awareness of breath, thought, sensation. But no entity, no separate one. That's there observing it. Just explore that as you feel the breath coming and going. Notice the space, the emptiness that's there within your experience, within yourself. When attention moves from thinking to awareness. Just feel that space, that openness, that emptiness. And let your attention drop into that space inside you. Drop into the body. And just rest there. As breath comes and goes. Thoughts will still come. They still come for me. But as you breathe and rest a while, you don't need to pick them up and play with them. And they might be happy thoughts or scary thoughts, stressful thoughts, or hopeful thoughts. Don't worry about the content, the nature of them. Just put your energy into staying here, as this breath awareness, body awareness, just watching. And as you go inside and feel that empty space that's in all of us. Just know that this emptiness, that's who you are. You're not the image, the self-image that arises in thoughts every day. I'm this, I'm that, I'm too short, too tall, too old, too young. It's no more than words arising in your mind. Don't believe them. And don't believe my words either, these words, but look into your own experience. This emptiness, this space that's within you. Not empty. Because in that space, the breath comes, the sensations come, the thoughts come. They arise out of that space and then disappear back into it if you watch them. It's like the breath. And almost everybody in this world is completely caught up with that which arises out of the space and then disappears back into it. The pictures, the words, the feelings, the people. This is your chance to get to know the space itself, to experience that. So with every breath, just allow yourself to drop into the body, into that openness. And just to rest there. And once you're there resting, there's nothing for you to do. But explore that. Explore this inner world with your attention. And just watch as those objects and experiences, be they thoughts or feelings or sounds or sights, come to you in this space of awareness and then dissolve back into it. Watch carefully, stay anchored within, and just watch out for the mind, the self-image, which will want to come up and grab your attention again. Maybe by distracting you with thoughts about something else, or maybe by turning this into some sort of achievement, some sort of quest to attain some goal in the future, of course. But notice how that voice also arises out of this space and dissolves back into it. And how there's not one voice, there's no owner of these thoughts. There's just thoughts coming, coming, coming. Nothing personal. Just like the wind blowing past. It's just what is. And just as the strong wind, the hurricane, isn't something that you need to fix. But it's probably wise to wait for it to pass. not to go out and play in it. And that's what we're doing. Just breathing in, breathing out, just dropping deeper each time. And even that, even what I just said is misleading, because we're not breathing in. I'm not breathing in. The breath just happens. I'm not doing it. I don't have to remember it. It just is. So everything right now is happening on its own. Within this open space. So keep dropping deeper into that space, deeper within yourself. And just watch all that happens, but watch from there. Notice the tendency to move out of this space and into some thought, some projection, some memory. Don't be discouraged when that happens. Just notice it and return to this. This is happening now. There are two ways that you can experience this moment. You can experience the reality of it, your actual experience now, or you can experience it through imagination of some other time and place. But when you stop thinking, there is no other time and place. There's just this, just here, just now. So just disregard the imagined and come into the experience of the real, of what's arising now, and the space in which it arises. That's all. That's all we're doing here. It's moving from imagination into reality, whatever your mind might say about it. Now, will that make you a better person? No. The person you think you are will disappear, that's all. And when that happens, others will think that you've become a better person. But in reality, you're going past that. And just being what you are. Don't try and figure this out though. Just let the breath take you deeper within. No need for words or explanations. So I invite you now to open your eyes if you'd like. Feel free to stretch the body. Always good. And I just wanted to read a little something that I found me before the class. Don't listen to this with your mind, just let it take in. Just let it sink in, sorry. As long as there remains the notion of other, no one can ever be rid of the notion of I. And as long as the notion of I is the center from which you think, no sentient being can ever be awakened to the enlightened state which is yours. I'm going to read that again slowly. As long as there remains the notion of other. So when I say notion, substitute it with thought. As long as there remains the thought of other, the pictures, the images, the belief in, no one can ever be rid of the notion of I. Not the I, but the notion of I. Okay? And as long as the notion of I is the center from which you think, so as long as the belief in your self-image is the center of your world, no one can ever wake up to who you really are. So I just want to explain that a little, and then I'll ask for some questions. So imagine this, my fingers are my awareness. It's usually up here all the time, yeah? In my head, caught up in this notion of I. So every thought's this self-image, I. Is that right for people? Or am I the only one? All right, good. I want to be on my own there. So there's this I, the notion of I. And is that who you really are? The collection of thoughts, of pictures, of memories, all of that? Well, of course it's not. I mean, otherwise, as the Zen guys say, well, who were you before your grandmother was born? Where were you then? The mind can't catch that. So as long as we're caught up in there, which is where 99% of the world is, as long as awareness stays hooked there, we can never drop down into this space, into this emptiness, into your true self, your true nature, which you can kind of experience when attention moves in here into the body. And that's the key to this whole thing, is that the attention moves from up here to down here. Okay. When I say up and down, it's not really located somewhere. It also sometimes you might notice that it feels like your attention's being drawn forwards into the world, like your eyes glaze over and you're kind of staring out there and you don't know what's happening in here. So it can also be like a step back into this body, into this space. So this notion of I, as my friend here puts it, is just the self-image that stays alive through all this projection and memory and all the storytelling. And when we're lost in that, and we believe that this is who we are, then we don't look anywhere else. So all I'm doing ever is just saying to you, look in here, look in here. And when you look, you'll find that this self-image kind of starts to drop. There's still the activity might be going on. When you're fully in here, then you don't know who you are anymore. It doesn't matter. There's just awareness experiencing what is. It's really simple. So there's nothing kind of profound or spiritual or complicated about this. There's nothing technical. Just move attention from here to here. And when you find it getting drawn back up and you notice, you just sink back down or step back in. And you'll start to experience yourself as this kind of aliveness, this emptiness that's in here. Not as the one who does and says and thinks all this stuff. And so when you leave this thing alone, then it starts to quieten down on its own, and it'll become helpful to you most of the time. But when we're churning it up all the time with our attention, then it's a mess. It's a total mess. So we could say that there's this awareness that's in here, and when I say attention, it's like the active, the active side of that awareness. Like awareness is looking at different things. Awareness gets lost in thought, and then awareness comes back and sits with the breath and notices itself. Now your mind is probably going to, or possibly is going to try and understand that logically and mentally and through your experience and your knowledge, and it doesn't lead anywhere. Okay, so my advice is just don't let your mind interfere in this. Just hear the words. If they don't make sense yet, just let them sit and sink in, and just keep practicing, keep coming back to this, always to this. Are there any questions? You might have to. I've muted you all, so you might have to find a way to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question, or if you wave your hand around. If you can't find it, I'll unmute you. Jen. Hey Jen, how are you going?
Good, Oli. I'm sitting here. It's a bit dark now. I put the back light up, but now I can't see me.
Yeah. Hang on a sec. Jen, there's two of you here. You've split yourself in two. So I'm just going to take one of you out. And okay. Jen, just say something. We'll see if...
How's that?
Much better. I think you joined twice, so...
I didn't know how. I thought I'd try to get out of that, but I must have downloaded Zoom twice because they're on a laptop tonight, which is much better. And I didn't fall asleep, so that's good. Paid attention, not too much attention to the mind.
Yeah.
But I did at the beginning, which is really interesting when you just said about paying attention to your mind or pay attention to your body. So by the end of the session, less attention to the mind. So that's good.
So you can feel that, you can notice that shift from the busyness into the...
Even though when I'm doing it, it feels so hard and I feel like I'm so bad at it, but it actually does shift. You don't think about it too much.
Yeah. So who is it hard for?
My mind.
Is that even a someone?
The thinking mind, I guess, that part of me.
Yeah. Yeah. So that even that concept of the thinking mind, though, is like there's all these separate thoughts that come and go. And we kind of call it something that makes it sound like the thoughts are bundled together and they're consistent, and it's like an entity almost. It's like a thing. But if you try and find this thinking mind, what do you find? What do you see?
Nothing, really. It's just talking.
So thoughts.
And that mind's not there thinking. It's actually quite nice to take notice of what's underneath that or on my body or whatever, because there's really not a lot going on, and that's just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thought comes out of the space and then goes back into it. It's like you hear someone hit a bell or a gong or something, and it's like, there's nothing, and then bang,
It's back.
Sound comes out of nowhere, out of nothing, and then you listen and it just kind of goes, and it's like everything's like that. Our bodies come out of nothing and then go back into it, and then kind of, and if you watch thought, you can see, and especially as it slows down a little, you can see this process of just kind of pops up, and then before you know it, it's gone. And if we get hooked into it, then it's like every thought leaves a trace in the body or in this space. But it doesn't really. There's no in this emptiness, nothing sticks. But it's like we keep that echo of it alive by repeating it, hanging on to it, and believing that it's you. You give it energy.
Mm.
So even the one who says, this is hard, is a phantom.
That's makes a lot of sense. Just let that go. Let that go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this has worked quite well, this process, this Zoom process tonight. So that's just a bit of feedback. It was very easy to download on the computer and the phone now. So that's been good success in 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it was so easy that 2 of you came.
Yes, Rachel's here tonight.
And you're both here twice, so making up the numbers. Thanks, Jen. I'll just pop you back on mute. Are there any other questions? And you can unmute yourself if you want to ask something, or my internet might have just dropped out, so we'll see what happens there. All right. Well, we might leave it at that. But feel free to send through questions as well, email or Facebook, if you want to ask them afterwards. Otherwise, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for coming along. And I don't know the future, but I'm planning to be back here next week. So I'd love to see you guys again. Thanks, everybody. Have a lovely night or day.